Shalom everyone, and this week we are studying Parashat VaYak'hel. It's in the book of Exodus, chapter 35, verse 1 and on. And Parashat VaYak'hel, it's VaYak'hel and next week's Parashat Pikudei. They are both kind of a repetition of Truma and Tetzaveh. So all the commentators are asking, why is it that we need to repeat the same information again? However, in order to understand the parasha, we need to understand the background. And what is the background about? We had, till now, the book of Shemot, Exodus. It's about the Exodus. It's about the program, the progress, the very important stage in the evolution of humanity, in which a whole nation of slaves are being delivered out of slavery into the uppermost form of freedom, freedom from the angel of death. That took several stages, the 10 plagues in Egypt, and we explained it in previous, during the previous parashot. So the peak, we arrived to the peak in Parashat Yitro, in which there is the Mount Sinai revelation. The two tablets are being, all the message of the Torah is being given. Okay, still, immediately as part of it, we have Parashat Mishpatim, immediately after Yitro, which expands the laws of reincarnations, which means these are the laws of the evolution of the soul. Every soul, till that soul has no karmic debts anymore. And the most important, that soul is already transformed from a vessel only into a vessel that has the ability to share, to have an affinity with the light of the Creator, with the endless light of the Creator. And that means you need to take a few steps. As we said, Parashat Mishpatim, these are the laws of reaching to that place. Then in Parashat Truma that follows, that's how you sanctify your environment, your home, your workplace, and so on. And Parashat Tetzaveh, that's how you sanctify yourself, and you raise yourself into a superhuman being, which means you're not just another upgraded form of an animal. You are a godly creature that has the ability to bring godliness into this mundane world, which means I can transform any mundane, physical, material aspect of this world that we know with our five senses and the logic of the five senses. We can transform it into a godly reality. But then last week we had the big mistake, the golden calf, the sin of the golden calf. And the result was a crash, which means we crash back humanity, who had an option on Mount Sinai, first with the Israelites, and if there was no golden calf, then the Israelites will bring the rest of the world into that place of total freedom and holiness. However, that did not succeed. It crashed back to where it used to be, but not exactly. Still, a huge leap has been achieved through the Exodus. And that leap is not going back to Egypt the way it was. The message is still vibrating, echoing from Mount Sinai thousands of years later till today. And it's still pushing humanity every day, every month, every year forwards into a much more just, united, and spiritual society. We're not there yet, but we are much, much closer than where we have been. some 33 centuries ago during the Exodus. Okay, now, so if we have to see what are the dates, the Exodus happens on the full moon of Aries, Nisan. Mount Sinai revelation is in Shavuot, which is the beginning of Sivan, Gemini. Okay, 40 days later, Moses is coming back with the tablets and he breaks them down, shatters them down when he sees the golden calf. We are not going there. So that's a 17 of Tammuz, the month of Cancer. Okay, Moses goes back to get the second set of tablets on the first day of Elul, Virgo. He comes back 40 days later, exactly on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which means on the Day of Atonement, Moses is coming back and brings the message of atonement, teshuvah, coming back to the original position, and that is Yom Kippur. And since then we celebrate those days to repent every year and to transform ourselves and to do tshuva back again. Now, our story, Parashat VaYak'hel, is exactly the day after Yom Kippur. Moshe Rabbeinu, is coming down with the second set of tablets. He comes down on Yom Kippur, the 10th day of Libra. The next day, the 11th day of Libra, the story of Parashat VaYak'hel is taking place. And what it is, it says as follows. Chapter 35, verse 1 in the book of Exodus. VaYak'hel Moshe et kol adat bnei Israel. And Moses is gathering the whole congregation of the children of Israel. And he says to them, Ele advarim vayomar elehem, ele advarim asher tziva Adonai lasot otam. These are the things that God ordered, commanded to do. And he starts with Shabbat. Sheshet yamim te'aseh melacha, uvayom hashvi yeh lachem kodesh. For 6 days, you'll be working. On the 7th day, it will be holy. Shabbat Shabbaton LaHashem, it's a Shabbat, sabbatical. The word sabbatical in English comes from Shabbat, means to, when people go on strike, that's called Shvita. Shabbat means cease working. Shabbat Shabbaton, no working. Kol ha'oseh b'melacha yumat. Whoever is working on that day will be dead. Okay? And then it goes on, you have to remember, we had already, the message of Shabbat was given already in the previous parashot. Why is it mentioned here all over again? Not because the Torah is history or a list of orders what to do, because every parasha basically has the traits, the message for our tikkun, our work for this week. And the verse 4, so the first 3 verses are about Shabbat. Verse 4 is again repetition of Parashat Truma, even the word is being used. Vayomer Moshe el kol adat bnei Yisrael, that's verse 4, chapter 35 in Exodus. And Moses says to the congregation of the children of Israel, this is what God ordered. And he says, verse 5, mitchem truma LaHashem. Take from yourselves, teruma, and we learned Parashat Truma. Truma means raise yourself, take it from yourself. Kol nediv libo yaviyah et trumat Hashem. And here's the list of the donations they raised all over again. What's the difference between Parashat Truma and Parashat VaYak'hel? The details are exactly the same details. Okay? So, the answer that the Zohar is giving is very important, and that answer will also explain to us why is it that we have to mention Shabbat also in Parashat VaYak'hel. And he says as follows, the Zohar Parashat VaYak'hel, Perush HaSulam, the Sulam commentary, verse 7. B'tachazit, come and see. Maktiv b'kadmeta. What does it say earlier in Parashat Teruma? Me'et kol ish asher yidvenu libo. From every person, as much as his heart is giving. That's how many donations you're going to get. להכללה כולה. בגין דבעה קודשה בכו למעבד עובדה דמשכנה מכל סטרים. במוחה וקליפה. ובגין דהבו עינון ערב רב בגביו. יתמר מאת כל איש אשר יתבנו ליבו. להכללה לון בינו דישראל, דינון מוחה וכולהו יתפקדו. Translation. Come and see. What does it say? We said first, I already translated, from every person, whatever his heart is allowing him to give or wanting to give, which means from every person, that means kolel hakol, it includes everyone, even the Erev Rav. משום שרצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לעשות מעשה המשכן מכל הצדדים, because the Creator wanted the tabernacle, the Mishkan, the portable temple they had in the desert, will be established by both sides, external and internal. What does it mean, external and internal? Mishum shayu elu rav benem, because they were the Erev Rav amongst the Israelites. לכלול אותם בין בני ישראל שמוח וכולם נפקדו להשתתף במשכן. Okay. When the Israelites leave Egypt, the Zohar is teaching us that the warlocks, the sages, the masters of witchcraft of Egypt saw how the power leaves Egypt and goes with Moses and the Israelites. They come to Moses and they say, let us join you because we want to be part of you. We don't want to be Egyptians anymore. They come with Am Yisrael. So when we are talking about Mount Sinai revelation, there were two groups of people on Mount Sinai. One was Bnei Israel, the children of Israel. Those people were direct descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the Zohar explains, those went through a lot of purification, and they were purified by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and later on, the hardship, the iron furnace, as the Torah calls it, of Egypt, basically purified those souls who had a lot of garbage, mental garbage from previous generations. For instance, the flood, the generation of the flood, the Tower of Babel, and even before that, there was, and from the sin of Adam. However, that track of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then the slavery in Egypt, purified those people. So those people called the children of Israel, they were on a higher level because they went through so much purification, through a lot of misery and pain. So they were able, says Rabbi Ashlag, on Mount Sinai, when God is giving the Torah, which we know, Rabbi Ashlag is in his teachings, is mentioning to us, what is the whole Torah? Okay, in short, standing on one leg, love others as you love yourself. The rest of the world, we know, was not ready for that because they were still in the filth of ego and negativity and selfishness and blame and shame, all of those emotions that are basically manifestation of inner dirt. Okay? So the Israelites who went through so much suffering, they were able to acknowledge the worth of loving others as oneself. Because of that, they were the only ones who were able to receive the revelation on Mount Sinai. Although, if we take it from, as the Talmud is teaching us, from God's point of view, the whole world was supposed to get it. What happened was the Israelites, the children of Israel, were first to get it because they were the first one to be able to acknowledge the greatness of the Torah. And that's why we got it. However, on Mount Sinai, there was another group of people. They were the Erev Rav. The Erev Rav were Egyptians, says the Zohar. They had souls of greatness. However, they did not go through the purification of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and the misery and the pain of the slavery. So they were not pure enough, and therefore they were the first ones, after 40 days that Moses did not show his face, they were the first ones to rebel and demand, make us a calf. So the Midrashim are saying that Aaron wanted them to be separated from the Israelites. So said, you know what? I'll give you all the option to make your own calf, just for you. Leave us, the children of Israel, alone. And therefore, we learn that the children of Israel did not participate in the building of the golden calf, but they were drawn after it with their hearts. What does it mean? It was 40 days. They started to suspect that maybe Moses, 40 days without food and drink, maybe just simply died. Okay, and they had doubts about it. Now, what happens is, when Moses is coming back and he breaks the tablets, and he is now going back up to the second time, bringing second tablets, now when he comes back, the day after, the 11th of Tishrei, he is gathering now all the children of Israel. What the Zohar is saying? Now he's saying, in the beginning, the message was, everyone will take a part in the building of the tabernacle. The original children of Israel, and which are the core, the moach, the inner holy of the holiness, and also the external part of the same group of people, where the Erev Rav, they were not purified enough. So in relativity, they were the inner part, the children of Israel, and the Egyptians that they had holy souls, but they did not go through the purification. So they were the external part of the nation. They lost it first. Now, Moses is saying, now that we had the sin of the golden calf, we learn how to repent, but still we cannot trust that that will stay forever. Now we need to make sure to have a separation between what is holy and what is not, what is purified and what is still in the process of purification. And when it says VaYak'hel and Moses gathered, here it is. It's about making that separation between what is already sanctified, elevated, and what hasn't done that yet, that you cannot mix between the two, because that's very dangerous. Okay? This is very important because Rabbi Ashlag is teaching us that in every aspect of every society, it doesn't matter in a Jewish society or non-Jewish society, and every place, you always have external and internal. You always have, in every nation, you have the internal, who are what the tradition calls Chasidei Umot HaOlam, the righteous among the nations, in every nation, that they, by just simply connecting to the Torah, connecting to the 7 Noahide laws that they were given to Noah and the whole of humanity many years before Mount Sinai revelation. If you do that, you can reach purity and holiness and even Holy Spirit. Okay? What does that mean? Every nation has its own internal part, but you have also the external. And there's always that pull and push between the external and the internal inside every human being, inside the Jewish people, and inside every nation and every person. You always have that forces fighting, either you want to commit yourself just to whatever is external, materialistic, logical, and so on the superficial level, or you want to commit yourself to your inner soul and to the internal dimension of reality, of the creation. Every human being has that challenge of choosing side and supporting the side that is always pulling towards holiness. Now, if there was no golden calf, then the Mishkan would have been built by everyone, external and internal, the children of Israel and the Erev Rab, both. Since there was a sin of the golden calf, there was a separation. The fact that Aaron allowed them to build the golden calf is that he simply said, till Moses is coming, let them go and play aside with their own toys and leave us alone. We can't be together with them. The same way that many years earlier, when Yitzchak, Isaac, is being born, and Sarah sees that his brother, half-brother, Ishmael, is so much into idol worshiping, into witchcraft, she said, there's no way we can mix the two. We must have Ishmael separated from Yitzchak, because Yitzchak went through already some stages of purification. Ishmael did not go through enough yet. So she is so anxious that Ishmael and his mother, Hagar, that was an Egyptian princess, would leave the house so Yitzchak is not going to be affected. The question is this: if Yitzchak is so holy, why Sarah is so much afraid that Ishmael and Hagar will have bad influence about him? The answer is nobody is safe. And we can see it over here. Moses is coming with the second tablets. He's coming with that great gift of repentance to all of humanity. Doesn't matter how low can you fall, you can always transform it and create again from the pain. You can fall in order to lift yourself up. Okay? Still, as long as there is no Mashiach, you need to learn to separate between holy and non-holy. And therefore, when the Mishkan was built, and the beginning of the building of the Mishkan was on the next day, as Moses just comes down to earth, the next day he starts the job. And what does he say? It's going to be only by, the Mishkan is going to be built only by those who are the internal part of what is called the nation of Israel, only the Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, not the converts that joined them on the way out of Egypt. So, what do we learn from there? we learn that we always, as long as Messianic age did not culminate into the next level of holiness to everyone, we have to acknowledge that we have a weakness. We all, each one of us, has a part, which is called the body, that is external, that has the inclination toward materialism, cruelty, negativity, enviness, hatred, and stuff like this. We have to acknowledge that we have that option, and we need to separate ourselves from all the atrocities that are happening around us, so our inner selves are not going to be inflicted and affected, which means, as Zohar says, we have to stay away from people that are very, very materialistic. We have to stay away from influences of stuff that pulls us towards the dark side. And we really need to do that in order to achieve success. One of the, there's a research that was done some 20-something years ago by a researcher. His name is Jim Collins. And he printed the book, he published his research as the book From Good to Better. And what did he do? He looked at the performance of the stock market in Wall Street, and he looked for special companies. How do you know they're special? These companies existed for at least, in his research, 15 years in the stock market, and you could see they were good. There was a yearly profit. If you look at the stocks, the performance of the stocks of these companies, they were doing good every year, just going up the hill for 15 years. But suddenly, you see a surge of performance that is so much like a quantum leap. He took 15 companies like this, and he checked out what was the reason, the cause for such a quantum leap in the performance of the stocks of these 15 companies. And he realized that all 15 companies went through the same process. What was the process? First of all, then there was a new CEO, a new head as being appointed for the company. That CEO was from a totally different type than the regular CEOs. It is really in all the books of economy, it says that if you want a company to be successful, you need a CEO that is very energetic, very charismatic, has leadership, he can inspire the people, and everybody can identify that he is part of the branding of his company. So that was the myth till that time. Everybody believed in that myth. And they found out that the leader of companies, those companies who had that quantum leap in their performance, were not charismatic people who were busy basically branding themselves as the big super leader of the company, and that was not it. They were a totally different type. They were people that their purpose was not to brand themselves personally, but to rebrand the whole company. As what? As a working place that is around something very important. Sharing, giving, values that we speak about them all the time. The values of unity, the values of love, the values of integrity, honesty, service. They simply started to make a change in the company in which they separated between those people who are really there to be with a mission to be better people, and to have a mission of love and caring and integrity, and separate them from those people who come to work because you have to make money. What can you do? And you really do as little as possible in order to take out as much as you can. They separated the two parts of the company and they let go slowly, slowly. All of those takers, people who were simply takers, were part of the company's manpower. Slowly, slowly, they changed and they did what Moshe Rabbeinu is doing over here, VaYak'hel. They simply created a new company, not changing any product, not changing any policies, just changing the people in the company to be people that, according to what we just explained, they are the more internal kind of people, which means what was ruling in their daily life, conversation, way of work, it was first of all about being at service. First of all about caring for others. First of all about unity. First about a vision that is bigger than life. They didn't really brainstorm about bringing a new product, new branding, nothing of that sort, against all what they teach in business schools. And when they had, and Jim Collins calls it, first of all, he got the right people on the bus. And when when that leader had the right people on the bus, then those people decided where is the bus going to travel. And the result was the quantum leap in the performance of the, simply as that, okay? That's exactly what Moses is doing. He needs to create the dream team. That dream team needs to change history over the next few millennia. So he has to gather those people that what controls them first, from the moment they get up in the morning till the end of the day, first of all, is about values of honesty, integrity, love, kindness, compassion, caring, and so on. He gathered those people and he said, okay, only those people will build the Mishkan, to teach us that we need in our everyday life to make that differentiation. We need to make the differentiation between what is external and what is internal, what is spiritual and what is materialistic. We have to make sure who are the people that we associate with, who are the people we are working with, who are the people that we are spending our time with. We have to be very, very picky about it, because we human beings, we are very much influenced by our society, by the dogmas of society, by the belief systems of society. If you want to know who are you going to be in 10 years from now, look around, who are the people surrounding you, you'll be that kind of a person in 10 years from now. You know, which the sages are saying, Emor li mi chavercha, umar lecha mi ata. Tell me who are your friends, I'll tell you who you are. Okay? Because that's who you become. Moses said, in order for us to be the leading team that is going to lead the world towards more internal spiritual life, we need to create our own niche so we can lead. So what's the connection to Shabbat? It's the same story. Let's read about it. Okay, the Zohar of this Parashat VaYak'hel, is the most extended text of the Zohar about Shabbat and the secrets of Shabbat. And what the Zohar is explaining, the same way we have between the Erev Rav and the children of Israel, the same way we have between the external part of a human being, which is his more bodily inclination, which is the most selfish aspect that always draws toward materialistic and selfish way of life. Okay, there's also the internal one. So the same relationship happens between the 6 days of work and the day of Shabbat. It's like two different authorities, two different realms, two different planets, two different systems with two different systems of rules and behavior. So one of the major things that is about Shabbat is Hamavdil ben Kodesh lechol, the one who separates between holiness and unholiness. Okay, the weekdays and Shabbat. That's the most important thing. During the weekdays, we have 6 days of work. What is the work? To sort out the holiness within the darkness, to lift up the holy sparks from within all the dirt and chaos. It's also on the spiritual level. On the spiritual level means, why do I go and find myself into challenging moments, challenging situations of chaotic aspects, pain, darkness, and negativity? Because there is some issue of holiness hidden in that situation. And when I respond, when I behave in a very strong spiritual manner, then my elevation creates like a suction that sucks the holy sparks from that location or situation and creates the elevation. That's one of the major rules or concepts of tikkun in the teachings of Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Arizal. So when we overcome that pulling down, that negativity, that materialism, or energy of anger and stuff like this, all of those external forces, when we overcome them and create a liftoff, then we really suck out holy lost sparks from those places and situations. Now, where are we going to get the power to do that? Shabbat. Shabbat is the time of separation, seclusion. It's the holy day of the whole week. It's the holy day that basically, if you can hold on to Shabbat, you'll have the ability to make those liftoffs during the weekdays. But if you do not know how to separate between holiness and unholiness, between Shabbat and weekdays, you don't have the ability to create that liftoff. So the Zohar says, just before Shabbat enters, we're talking about Friday afternoon before sunset. This is the time just before Shabbat starts or begins. The negativity is at its worst. Therefore, sages are saying during those times, just the hours of Friday afternoon, you have to be really, really careful not to fall into that fire of hell, of purgatory, that is burning all around, and it's being felt by all of that pressure before Shabbat. So you have to be really careful not to let the pressure affect you, not to get upset and angry and, destroy everybody around you because, there's a pressure. You have to get to Shabbat. What does it mean you have to get to Shabbat? The moment Shabbat comes in, which is the time of sunset, and in all Jewish congregations around the world, we start following Shabbat or getting into Shabbat, which means lighting Shabbat candles 18 minutes, 20 minutes before sunset. In Jerusalem, it is 40 minutes before Shabbat, before sunset. And then whatever was not prepared yet, that is sabbatical. Nothing should be done. Whatever you made, you use it. Whatever you didn't prepare yet, don't use it. That's what it is, okay, for the whole Shabbat. So what is that special thing of Shabbat? It's not just about not doing anything. We know from research that the ancient Babylonians did not work on Shabbat. Why? Because how do you call Shabbat, the name of that day in English? Saturday. Saturday, it comes from Saturn day. Okay, the day of Saturn. Same thing as Sunday is the day of the sun, planet sun. Monday, the day of the moon, right? Okay. So in French, lundi. Lundi is coming from Luna, the moon. Okay, so every day is called in the Western languages after the deity that is connected to the energy of that day. What is Saturn? Saturn is the planet that the Rabbad, Rabbi Avraham ben David of Poskiris, on his commentary of Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation, he teaches us that planet Saturn, eino chafetz b'inyanei hachomer. He has no interest in anything that is materialistic, which means whatever work you do on Shabbat, Saturn will destroy. So the ancient Babylonians decided, why should we work and make money on Shabbat? Anyway, nothing is going to last and everything's going to be lost. So, spending so much time and effort and investment on something that has no hope, why should we? They connected to that part of the do not on Shabbat. Whatever physical you create on Shabbat, whatever is materialistic, whatever is external, whatever is superficial, will be destroyed by planet Saturn. But that is for people that for them, it's called Saturday, Saturn day, okay? But Shabbat, by the way, how do you say Saturn in Hebrew? Shabbatai, like a Shabbat, that opposite of Shabbat, which means either you are on Saturday, which means you're busy with being hit by Saturn, who's the great teacher and says, give you the message and the lesson. Do not hang on to physicality. It's not going to help you. It's not going to fulfill you. It's not going to give you the certainty, the trust, and the safety you're looking for. Okay? But that's on the negative. Shabbat is about the positive. And what does the Zohar say? Verse 174 in the Zohar of Parashat VaYak'hel. Tachazei, come and see. Kevan de'al Shabbat, as Shabbat comes in, what does it mean comes in? But if you, wherever you are, let's say, especially in Israel, you feel Shabbat coming in. It's like suddenly something else is there in the atmosphere, in the air. Outside Israel, it's much harder to feel that. But you feel that Shabbat is coming in. Did anybody see Shabbat coming in? In Israel, even secular people who are not really, they do not say they're spiritual, they feel Shabbat coming in. Okay, therefore, that's why so many Israelis, most of Israelis, the big majority, do some, even if they are not religious, they do some ceremonies and services that connect to Shabbat because they feel it. And they don't do it because out of religiosity, because they have the need to do that, especially VaYak'hel, to get together and to eat together and to sing together and to bless on the wine together in a way that to feel that something special that is called Shabbat. So as Shabbat comes in, says the Zohar, V'itamahu medura, that fire of Friday afternoon, of that, the fire of negativity that burns through the whole week, is hidden. Kol eshin de'esha kashya itamahu v'tkafyan. All judgments, all the fires of harsh judgment are being subdued and suppressed. Afilu esha de gehenom, even the fire of purgatory, even the ones who are being purified in the purgatory, they even have a rest. Itlo naicha, vechol atata ve'ela itleu naicha, and all the worlds above and below experience what is called menucha, rest. Kad nafak Shabbat, מברכים ישראל הנורא, כדי נפקין כל אישים די תמרן, כל חד וחד להתרי, ובגין דלה להתערה אישה אחרה, כתיב, לא תברו אש בכל מושבותיכם ביום השבת, והוא כמו האישה למטבחה המים. Okay, when Shabbat leaves, then one of the ceremonies when Shabbat is finished is blessing on the fire. We do not, as we said, in order not, the Zohar says, not to awaken fire, which means judgment, during Shabbat, because it's rest. Shabbat is the power and the energy of rest, the energy of completion. When is there rest? When there is completion. Okay, what's the word in Hebrew for completion? Shalom. If you come to a Jewish community, or in Israel, everybody on the street, people say to each other, Shabbat Shalom. What is Shalom? The word Shalom, most people think this is peace, but Shalom is not peace. Shalom is another form, higher level of peace. Shalom comes from the word Shalem, whole. Okay? So when is there real, true peace? When you look around and you see that everybody completes you, and you're not complete without them and without them being them. You're not complete by them becoming you, you're complete by them being the best them they can be. That's called Shalem. Shabbat, Shalom is when you feel, you connect to that frequency of wholeness, completion in the universe. That what dawns to this world on the day of Shabbat, starting from sunset, Friday afternoon. Okay? In order not to awaken judgment and separation, okay, we do not light fire during Shabbat. Okay? אלא כשנכנס השבת, verse 175. As Shabbat comes in, הכרוז קורא בכל הרקיעים. There's announcement all over the worlds above. Okay? In all different dimensions. התקנו המרכבות, התקנו המחנות, לפני אדוניכם. Get ready. The chariots, the armies of the hosts of angels in front of your master. Okay, and then a spirit comes from the south, which is the power of chesed, loving kindness. So the judgment is subdued. Chesed, loving kindness, is taking over, and it's spread all over the world. Now, the world can be enclosed, says as though mitlabshim bo, with that spirit of wholeness, loving kindness. Okay, the light of Chesed. Veruach hahu, and that spirit, Nikra levush yakar Shabbat, is called the precious garment of Shabbat. אז השולחנות שבני אדם עורכים בעולם הזה, מתקנים בהיכל אחד שהוא המלכות. אשרי, and then the tables that people set in this physical world, they are being set in that shrine that is called Malchut. What does it mean? The Zohar is teaching us that, why is it that most people around the world do not feel Shabbat? Because Shabbat does not impose itself on humans. Shabbat has to be called in. Mikrei Kodesh. Vekarata LaShabbat Oneg. You should call the pleasure of Shabbat in. It doesn't come by itself. How do you do that? So in every household, just before sunset, the women light Shabbat candles because the women are Malchut. They are the Malchut of the house. And because if you want the house to elevate into that frequency of Shabbat, to be dressed up with that spirit of Chesed of Shabbat, you need to make an action to bring it in. Since Shabbat is Malchut, the queen, Shabbat the queen, Shabbat the bride, so the women, they light the Shabbat candle, and by the moments they light Shabbat candle, the whole household, rises, ascends into the upper world, and it becomes now a place of Olam Haba. Shabbat me'ein Olam Haba. Olam Haba, the world to come. What is the world to come? That frequency of internal spirituality that reigns everything. Nothing controls it. Now, in order to do that, you have to prepare the house. You clean the house, you set the house, you light the Shabbat candles. After you set a table, especially for Shabbat, clean, ready with a white tablecloth. You light the Shabbat candles. Now, that table becomes, now with your physical senses, it's a regular table in the regular physical world. The Zohar says, no, because you had the intention to set a Shabbat table, the table exists in two different dimensions. The dimension of the shrine of Malchut, the world of Malchut, and the physical world together. So a Shabbat table is a different dimension. A household that is into Shabbat is a different dimension. And now you see the separation, especially nowadays, you can see the separation so easily. There's a white tablecloth on the table. There are candles lighting, and there are no screens, no TV, no any kind of slavery to our modern slavery. Okay? Phones. But what if somebody is going to call? That will wait till after Shabbat. What if somebody is going to send me a message? That will wait for after Shabbat. No TV, no computers, nothing of that sort. What do we do on Shabbat? On Shabbat, we connect only to the spiritual, internal aspect of life. Otherwise, if I'm not allowing myself to lift off, to connect to that energy, that power that is called Shabbat, it is called Shabbat Shalom. If I'm not connected to that place, and the Zohar says Shabbat, look at the word Shabbat. It starts with the letter Shin. How do you write Shin? Like this. 3 vowels. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right, left, and center. There is a wholeness of balance. And what is Bat? The daughter of, the queen, the bride. That's where we are. On Shabbat, this is it. Nothing bothers us. But I can make another buck over there, another money over there. No, that will wait till after Shabbat. But that's an amazing opportunity, a business opportunity that will wait till after Shabbat. Why? I'm right now elevating myself to the world to come, and I want to stay there. And again, if you do not light the Shabbat candles, if you do not set the table for Shabbat, if you do not do the actions of meditations of Shabbat and calling in the extra soul of Shabbat, you don't get it. You do not get it. So you really need to separate. So what if somebody wants to come to my home and, can we come over? Yes. And they come over and they talk about business, and they talk about soccer, and they talk about, and they bring in their phones. No. Not in my holy Shabbat. You want to come? You come to Shabbat. You don't bring your stuff into my Shabbat. That's VaYak'hel Moshe. That's the building of the Mishkan. That's where we separate between holy and not holy, between internal and external. Where do we get the power to be able to fight all of these challenges of the week? Shabbat is the source of all bliss, of all that is blessing. Shabbat Mekor HaBracha. As I said again, you want to build a community. You want to build a company. It's almost impossible to create something that is internal, functional, and full of bliss without that power that is called Shabbat. Shabbat is a super force of support and help to help us to basically recalibrate ourselves into what is it that I'm looking for? What is it I'm trying to build? How does it feel like? It's like basically recalibrating and tune up of all the calibrations in our system. So what the sages are saying, how do you know what is right and what is wrong during the weekdays? If it smells like Shabbat, if it tastes like Shabbat, feels like Shabbat, go there. If it doesn't feel like Shabbat, don't go there because it's the wrong direction. Without Shabbat, we will never be able to make it through those tough days of the week. So there's a lot about the Shabbat, the prayers of Shabbat, the reading of the Torah of Shabbat. All of it is so much all over Parashat VaYak'hel. But it's all about the fact that we human beings, we have the duty, we have the command, we have the power. It's entrusted with us to lift up whatever is internal, spiritual, and positive and holy, and separate it from whatever is not at that sort. So you do that during the week. But how we are going to get the power to do it, that is done on Shabbat. Shabbat is the day that we basically charge ourselves with that energy of holiness so we can continue to be high priest, Kohen Gadol, during the week and do our job of correction. What is correction? Taking everything that we do, that we use, that we interact with, to turn it over from negative to positive, okay? To turn it over and force it to become a place that spirituality and holiness can dwell. And that's how, little by little, humanity is going to go through the correction till everything is going to become spiritual, internal, and that will be the Messianic days. Thank you so much. And that's a message of VaYak'hel.